Welcome to the Creative Journey series, where I discover people with amazing either creative or inspirational stories. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to the beautiful Naina Mansukhani, who is a pacer for Nike. So tell us about your journey, Naina.
Hi, Rose. Thank you so much for having me on your show. I'm really definitely excited to be here. So a little bit about my story with Nike. It started when I was actually in boarding school, and I never really had kind of direction or path of my own. And being a complete social outcast and the unpopular girl in school kind of led me to running, and I became really good at it. And then it's something that just became a part of my identity, and it stuck with me. So when I went back to college, and I was still running and still training, and then I had somebody from Nike that gave me a call. They said, we realize you've won one of these races that you ran, and we would love for you to come and pace a race for us. And then from there, everything changed. I thought it was a prank call. It turned out to be Nike for real. And it led me to now being on their TV commercials. I've done some amazing campaigns with Nike, and everything just changed from that moment for me.
Naina, I can't believe that you were an outcast at school with your amazing personality. But tell me, what were the challenges, with running and really becoming a pacer? What were the challenges for you?
I would say the only challenge for any runner would be consistency and being able to have that drive, and have that drive, stay with you. Because I had other athletes in my school, and we were extremely competitive, but the moment they went to college, they gave up running, and or they gave up a sport. So I think for anyone, the challenge for whatever that you're passionate about, the one thing to remember is to just extremely stay consistent with it. Because once you let it go, getting it back, it's like a uphill struggle, I would say. So that's, I think, one of the challenges. But lucky for me, I had good accountability with my running trainer, and I've always invested in a running coach or a running trainer. So they keep me, they just stay with me, keep me accountable, and keep me consistent. And I think that having a coach in every area of your life is truly important.
It's very important. I agree with you. Naina, who was, other than your accountability coach, and who else supported you in this process?
My family, my
Your
God, they
family.
really, yeah, I would say my family, my mother, like I remember when I was in college, and I had my tournaments. They were sometimes really far. I remember she would drive me to those tournaments, and make sure that I was waking up early for my training. She got so involved in me being like, she wanted me to be such a great runner that she started waking up and going for the runs with me. Now my mother is also a runner.
Fantastic. That's
Yeah,
amazing. That's amazing.
yeah.
So Naina, do you run every day?
I try to, like I said, I try to stay extremely consistent. And even I think the only limitation for me was the lockdown, because you can't now go out and run like you used to, or like I would have liked to. So I did like some functional training in the house, and I had like one gig with Nike where they started a movement where they said, you know what, you can't stop us. It doesn't matter where we are, even if we're locked down, we're going to work out from home. So it was some really cool indoor workouts that I got myself involved with, that just would keep me, keep my body warm, like, and conditioned to run.
Absolutely. And then I'd like to ask you, Naina, so if you think of young people that don't realize they have a talent, number one, for running, and number two, when they do discover this talent, what advice would you like to give them?
I would say keep it. Like, the only advice I would give them is to stick with that. Because you know there are two kinds of people. There's one category of people that have good talent, but they don't have consistency. And then there's another kind of like a group of people that do not have the talent, but they have the drive and the consistency, and it's this group that always succeeds because they value it, then they go after it. So this happened with me a lot of the times, and I'll be honest with you, like sometimes I've had big gaps in my running with my traveling and stuff, which I don't think should be an excuse, because running is literally the most easy sport in the world, like most convenient. All you need is a pair of shoes and you can run anywhere in the world. So I
Exactly.
just feel like even though I have the talent, I have my mother who will always remind me, you know what, even though you have the talent, if you don't have the consistency, you're not going to make a success of yourself. And that kind of accountability that my mom and I share, I think that is what that's what keeps me going. Otherwise I would just have the talent, but I would have lost my path. So that the advice I would give them is to value it and to be stick with it.
Okay. No, absolutely. So persistence and
Mhm.
consistency. So persistence really pays out. So Naina, would you like to just tell me what is the difference between a Nike pacer and a Nike ambassador?
So a Nike pacer, we get to like run in all these cool marathons and in races, and you represent the brand. An ambassador would be somebody that's globally like recognized as the
Yeah.
ambassador that represents Nike. So as an ambassador, you would have one ambassador for the brand, but then you would have more than one pacer. However, in my journey as a pacer for Nike, for me, I just got extremely lucky because I was in the TV commercial with them when they launched their first ever TV commercial in India. It's called
Tell us
Bada.
about that. Did you know you were going to be in a commercial, or how did
No,
that happen?
they just said me they said that, you know what, you'll have to go and audition, and I was like, I'm never gonna get it because I've never imagined myself getting on TV or anything like that. And I remember going there, and it was the guy that actually directed. He was a massive director. Like he shot music videos for Jay-Z and Madonna and Justin Timberlake and Beyonce, and I was thinking there's no way I'm going to get this. But all they said to me was, there was like this massive studio and big green screen. All they said is, just run. We just want to watch you run. And I was like, okay, I do that every day, so I can do this now. And I ran, and then I got the part, and I was I did get to be featured on there, and then that led me to being interviewed by Elle and Cosmopolitan India, and then I got some amazing opportunities through that one commercial, and it got like millions and millions of views. It became like it was the only commercial that's ever been shot in India by Nike. They've never shot any commercial here before, and it was all about women and women in sport, which is very close to my heart. So it just fits so well. And then from there, the craziest thing happened. I ended up on the shopping bags. Like, every time you go and buy Nike products, they would give out a bag that had my face on it, just mine, which was crazy.
How did that feel? Was it like a bizarre feeling, or
It was amazing. I
yeah,
tell
were
my
you proud of that?
mother, I've never had my face anywhere before. I had it on the bag, which was amazing. And that was actually an amazing story as well. Because I was in my law firm, and I remember after we had shot the campaign, I was asked to come and do like some print shoots with Nike. And I had to take permission from the HR if I could leave my law firm and actually, get one day to do that shoot with them. And it was a lot of like, I don't know how you're going to do this. You're in the middle of a big due diligence. And I said, look, I'm going to go for this. I would appreciate if you were on board with, because I really want to do this. So they were like, okay, fine. And I took a day out of work, and I made sure I went and shot that print with them. But when I got there, I was extremely disappointed because they had like one national level. I can't mention the sport because it'd be easy for people to guess, but they had a really big player, and I was supposed to be like the shadow for this person. And I remember getting on the phone to my mother and saying, I cannot believe I battled my law firm to get one day off to come and be someone's shadow. And my mother is like, don't worry, be the best shadow you can ever be, just have a blast. And I did what my mom said. I did my best, and it ended up that campaign, they didn't use that other athlete that was actually big and really known, because that person wasn't a runner. I was, so my stride was like a runner. And they used that picture, and that's what ended up on the bags, and it ended up on the billboards. And it was like a really, really it taught me a great lesson that, whatever you do, you must give it your best, because you
Yeah,
just
and
don't know.
then all these incredible surprises along the way.
Yes, it was.
Billboards, shopping bags, interviews with Elle Cosmo. I mean, that's a, a woman's dream. Most women would dream and aspire to that.
Yeah, absolutely. I
Definitely.
appreciate what I have, but I also feel like there's so much more I can do. Like anyone would feel, but it starts by having like a lot of gratitude for what you already have, and then for saying, you know what, now let me take it to another level.
Naina, previously when I chatted to you, I saw a photograph of you and your grandmother standing outside a shop window. Tell me about that moment.
Okay, that was another most. So remember, I told you this is where I was supposed to be the shadow. That
Yes.
ended up like from the ground to the ceiling up. Okay, a poster that big of me in one of the shops, one of the Nike shops. And I remember passing by the store with my grandmother, and she's like, "Is that you?" And I was like, "Oh my god, that is me." And we went in there and we went nuts. I don't think I just, I've never been starstruck of me before, because it was a really, really massive like picture, and it was things I never even imagined that had become possible for me. It was just a really special moment, and what made it even better is because my grandmom was there.
Oh, and she must have been so proud of you.
Oh, she
So
was. She
proud
was
of you, Naina.
biggest supporter was my grandmom. Like for everything I did, she's just been so supportive. So yeah, that was
Naina,
extremely special.
this is such a beautiful story. I mean, it just gets better and better and better. So, what is next? What is next for Naina, the runaway lawyer? Because would you mind just to mention about your life in the law firm? And I know
Yeah.
that you wrote a chapter in the book called The Runaway Lawyer, and I think that's such a brilliant name.
I realized that, my life in the law firm was, I'm very grateful for it, because I worked for one of the best law firms in India. And my whole idea about becoming a lawyer was because I love helping people, and I thought law was the way to do that. But when I became a part of the corporate law world, I realized that everything that I imagined and everything it was really different. And it's great for people who have the patience to sit behind a desk. But for me, it's not the life I wanted. And I did try litigation, which is where you go to court and you fight a case. But I felt like, by the time the verdict comes out, my client would not, they would not have justice that they deserve. So it was a really frustrating situation to be in, where I wanted to do something to help, but I knew I was unable to, because it's just not really in my hand. And but I met some amazing people in my law firm, and I made some wonderful friends. But I realized that what I am and what I'm doing is not aligned. So I decided that even when I was in the law firm and we had to sit hours on a desk, we never knew when our work would finish, because normal job is from like 9 to 5, but with a lawyer it's from 9 to, you don't know where it's going to end. If it's a big firm like mine was, you're working nonstop. You could work anytime. You don't get too many holidays. Your weekends are not necessarily off. It just depends from, a project to project or a case to case. So I remember I started at 8 p.m. every night. I decided that I'm going to wear my running clothes and I'm going to go for a little run outside and come back and carry on working. And then that became a little bit of a trend. So it started with 2 other people joining me, 3 other people joining me. And then I know that slowly and sneakily a run club was formed in my law firm, where we would go do a little run, come back, carry on working. And it was good. It caught on. But then I realized I can't keep doing that. And I decided to leave my law firm and then, pursue my running and become a coach, which I have. And then The Runaway Lawyer is a chapter that I authored for a book that we co-authored together with like 12 other wonderful people. So yeah, that's about the law firm.
And yeah, that's such an amazing story. So I'm going to ask you, what's next?
Next
What's
is I
next?
myself authoring my very own book, which I'm very excited about. I also want to, carry on doing more of what I'm doing, which is coaching and helping people transform. And I know that, that's how I even met you. As you can see, it's a platform where all like-minded people meet, and
It's
that's what I love about it. Helping people up their game, because if I hadn't upped my game, I would be, in a situation where I was not happy and victimizing myself. But I just feel like if you're not happy with where you are, you have to do something about it. And that's the kind of awareness I would like to create. So for me is, working with more people, impacting more lives, having my own books, having my own programs, getting more features, and this time maybe being on the cover of one of these magazines. That would be really nice. And
Time Magazine, Naina.
them all of
Time
them.
Magazine.
Yeah, because I just feel that coaching and speaking is such an amazing profession to be a part of. And with the lockdown and what's happened with the world, that mental health has become such an important topic, that if I was bang on the cover with a big, with a big tag saying, do something about your mental health, because you'll see people, they'll invest in a cafe, or they'll go and have coffees, or they'll go and have, big dinners outside. But when you ask them to spend on their mental health and on their education, I feel like that there should not be a reluctance. There has to be a realization that you are your greatest asset, and things will happen great if you worked on yourself.
Thank you for that, Naina, because I was going to ask, about COVID and the impact. And even through COVID, you've run at home. You keep your exercise going, even if you can't go out into the street. So, does COVID restrict us really if, mentally we can manage it?
I feel the only thing that's going to restrict you is you, because I've seen some amazing people do some amazing things in the lockdown. Like, for example, my coaching business actually accelerated with the pandemic, because more people have realized the value of mental health than before, even though there could be certain segments that experience reluctancy in investing in a coach. I do feel the trend of having a coach is catching on, because it's so impactful, and it's so much, I mean, there's no disrespect to
No.
therapy or a psychiatrist, but I would say coaching is more progressive. Having been to a therapist and a psychiatrist, and because I lost my dad when I was 15, I've dabbed into these other things, but I do know that coaching is so much more progressive. And that's really what excites me. So to answer your question, with the lockdown and stuff, there's a lot of course there are things, there are rules that are new that are in place, where you have to make the best of a crazy situation, because the situation is never in your control, but how you deal with it is. So that's what I would say.
Thank you, Naina. Thank you so much. Thank you for taking your time out and sharing your beautiful, inspiring story. And I'm sure it's going to impact on a lot of people out there. Thank you, Naina.
Yeah,
And that was
thank
the
you.
amazing Naina.